Hi guys, it's Susan Gallagher and I'm with Chris Gordon from Hellblazerbiz.
Everyone, I have the immense honour and privilege of the company of Susan Gallagher, actress, who's currently in Cobra Kai and Quiering as well, which are both big, huge YouTube hits. Susan, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for asking me.
No, you're welcome.
Here.
It's a great honour to speak to you. I mean, you're not just from those two shows. You've got an immense background in acting, which is fantastic to see.
Well, it's not that great, but I have some work, but
You're working hard.
That is yet to come, right?
Yeah, I say it's great because you work hard. You've got a great list of some of the shows that you've been on have been fantastic as well. When I've been looking at there, so I want to bring that originally right. What drew you? Why did you want to become an actress? What were your inspirations when you were younger?
Well, my mom was in the music industry. She's a jazz musician, and so music and musicians and some theatrical type people and stand-up comics were friends of hers and my parents. So a lot of entertaining was going on in my house growing up. And I think that I always had the bug for the biz. And my father actually always wanted to be an actor, but he had to make a living, and it's hard to make a living, especially in the Southeast. And that's where we lived. So he worked for the family business, and it was always a little bit of a dream that I had, but I just never really knew how to pursue it, living in and growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Charlotte area. So it wasn't until I moved to Florida and was married that I actually started pursuing acting, and my husband was very supportive. And I had done some modeling and that kind of thing in North Carolina, but nothing serious. So the doors just started opening up immediately. And I did a lot of non-union work for a number of years because I wanted to keep my foot in the door of acting and continue to learn and grow and take classes. But then I started having kids, and motherhood has been just the greatest joy of my life. So I wanted to have that creative outlet and work part-time so I could still be there for the kids. So it just, I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. And that's when I really got into it, was in my 20s.
Wow. Yeah, excellent. Fantastic. You said your mum was a jazz musician. Do you play yourself?
I don't, but I have a sister who she received her master's from Juilliard in classical composition. So how do you compete with that? I mean, I might sing a little on a really good day, but no, my sister, she got more than her share of the musical talent. But I do, I've written some couple of songs, and I like to write lyrics. But we're very opposite. She is more introverted, and she's a classical composer, so that's what she's into. And I'm much more extroverted and zany, and the actress, I guess.
Fantastic. I was going to ask about it because I love jazz music myself. Anyway, my dad used to play drums. He was a minister, but he played drums. And he used to, when he was younger, he's played drums for Dave Brubeck. He's played at Ronnie Scott's, the big jazz club in London. So he's played for a few of those guys. Obviously when he was a lot younger, back in the 60s and 70s. So that was quite cool. So I've got his jazz bug.
Yeah. My mom also, she's just a very talented woman. She opened for Mel Torme and Tony Bennett, and some of the greats. She actually had a television show back in the early 50s in Birmingham, Alabama, with Dick Van Dyke.
Oh wow.
She's quite a talented lady, but then she ended up giving it up for her family. And once again, living in Charlotte, Gastonia, North Carolina, which is where my dad's family's business was located. She still entertained a lot in our home and kept in touch with all of those people, and was part of the Opera Guild and that kind of thing. But she didn't play and speak professionally anymore after that.
Oh, fair enough. It's a shame, but fair enough, I guess.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
fact, yeah, you always family life always comes first, doesn't it? So you
that's
want
right.
to make sure look after your family. And
Yeah.
so, when you said you've done non-union work, have you done much theatre work as well?
I really haven't, and I regret that. That's on my to-do list. One of these days, when I can't travel anymore or something, because it was such theater is such a huge commitment,
Mm,
and especially at night. And I tried to do one, maybe two, but yeah, I just couldn't leave the kids. I needed to
yeah.
be there to put them to bed at 8 p.m. and I just, I couldn't do it. It just did not work out with my time schedule with having children.
Hmm.
But I miss that, and I think I would love it. So maybe someday.
That'd be good. But yeah, you're right. The time it's so there's a big difference. I speak to quite a few actors, and some of them have done theatre, and some of them do the screen, and the difference they say between a theatre production compared to like a filming production, because filming productions are long and grueling. They usually long days. But you're right. You usually sometimes get the evenings back, but on a theatre run, you might be around like you say, you're around the country. You have to stay away for umpteen weeks as the productions are on, and
Right?
it's
It's a
just
huge commitment.
it is. It's a very, very big commitment, and monetary wise, very little money back for it as well.
You can make a lot more doing a national commercial up in Orlando, which is an hour from where my kids and my home was when they were growing up. And keep your foot in the door and just do a few spots on a TV show, and then you're back home. And so that's how it's kind of been for me. I've had to work it around my children,
Hmm.
but now they're grown and gone, so I'm ready to work.
Excellent. Well, that's a fantastic way. The fact that you do value your family, and I think it is important to balance that out, and especially as they're growing up as well, because then they're the ones they're the ones who'll choose your care home when you're older. That's what my mental.
This is very, very true.
That's,
And it goes by so fast, you guys. I mean, I can remember hearing this saying, don't blink or they'll be grown and gone. And it's really true, but you're
mhm.
so busy in the moment, going to cheerleading practice or lacrosse or, taekwondo or whatever it is, that you just, I don't know, it's like you can't just grasp that moment like you want to
Yeah.
because you're so busy. And then you look back and you're like, wow, it's
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
so fast.
I mean, I've got a 13-year-old son at the moment, and it's just flown by for that, because obviously my work in IT, my main job, and I've had to work away in London and work places, and I'll come back and all of a sudden it's like, where's that time gone? You were like this high before, no?
I know. And with boys, it's so funny when they're growing. I mean, they're always hungry, and then you feed them, and then 30 minutes later, they're hungry again.
Yeah, yeah. He goes up to his room and he comes down when he's on his PlayStation. He'll come down, and like literally, yeah, it's every 30 minutes. He'll come down with a little guilty face on. Can I have some more food, please? He's like Oliver. He's like, please, sir, can I have some more?
Like Oliver, or please.
Yeah. It is. It's hysterical.
Well,
But,
you need to buckle up though, because 13-year-olds can be a little challenging.
oh yeah, definitely.
Till they get their driver's license. I mean, the boys don't have the drama that the girls have, but yeah, they go through a couple of stages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they do. We're lucky here because his driving license, he doesn't get till he's 18, because we're not allowed to drive till we're 18 in the UK, or
I didn't
17.
know
We can get a
that.
provisional. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. They
Yeah.
can drink at 18 and drive at 17. And in America, it's 15, isn't it? You can get a driver's license at 15.
You get your learner's permit.
Yeah.
But you have to be if you're driving, you have to be riding with a licensed driver.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still very young.
Yeah.
But so I can imagine if that's even worse then, because so when they get into that age and they start getting to the 15-year-olds, you're like, oh, now
Yeah,
they
well,
get
you
in the
know what?
car.
When you get their license, your relationship changes so much because their entire life you've been driving them places,
Yeah,
right?
and now they can do it all
And you
themselves.
hear everything they share with you. If their
Hmm.
friends are in the car, buckle up because you will hear more than you ever wanted to hear. But just don't overreact. That's my advice. Just be cool no matter what the friend is saying because they're talking to each other. But
Mm.
yeah, once they drive, you don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, are.
I know. I'm kind of dreading him growing up, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, I can remember feeling like I was just going to go vomit when my daughter first drove by herself. I mean, you're physically ill, and then you just start praying, and then you learn to just kind of let it go because you have absolutely no control. Just hope that you've, taught them well and that they don't speed.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
Right, right.
So back to acting again then, Susan, because obviously you said now you are in that, you've got, you're getting your roles and you want to get there more full time now that your kids have flown the nest, as it were. You couldn't have landed a better role. I mean, the Karate Kid, I mean, I'm sure you remember the Karate Kid. I mean, I'll say it's the Karate Kid, the film, the original film. I mean, that was so life-changing for so many different ways, and from my age as well, it was just the sense that you can actually watch the film itself, so we'll go on to the show, but of the film is that you can actually achieve whatever you want to do as long as you can put your mind to it. You can overcome adversity is the word I'm looking for as well. It's such a great film for that.
Such a great film, and plus the father-son relationship too. Pat Morita just did a wonderful job.
Yes, he did.
As did Ralph too, of course. All of them did, but it's been such an honor to be part of it that I'm just truly grateful, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's it like? Because obviously with Cobra Kai, which is what you're on, which is that a lot of people are actually saying this is the sequel that should have happened, and they've written off the rest of them, and they've said this is the sequel that should have come along because it is so good. And I've started to watch it. I can't say I've watched all of it, but I've started to watch it. I'm gripped. It is very, very, from that first episode where you see Will Zabka as Johnny, and how his life has turned out, and you're like, wow. And then you just think, you can relate it, especially because he was my age well, actually, no, I was younger than him in '85, but, so what was it like? I mean, because obviously they brought those guys back from the original. So what was it like filming with Ralph and Will?
30 years later, it's just a continuation of that story. And when I first saw Cobra Kai on Actors Access, which is an online submission site that's connected to breakdown services out of LA, which have all of the auditions and everything. Well, the Actors Access is more like a regional kind of submission site for auditions for actors where you can submit yourself and not necessarily have to go through an agent. Because I knew when I saw this role of Lynn, the homeless woman, that none of my agents would have ever considered submitting me for something like that. Yeah. But I was so drawn to her, and it said something about think out of the box, and so I immediately looked to see who the casting director was for this project. And I didn't know Baggio in Atlanta, so that meant that he didn't know me, and hopefully none of his assistants knew me, and maybe I have a shot, right? So I submitted a self-taped audition, and I wore my husband's old beat-up clothes that were way too big for me, and I messed up my hair, which, I mean, you can see my hair. I mean, it almost had dreads in it. And then I did dark underneath my eyes, and I just went all out for it. And I was up here in the mountains, and I had a studio tape me down in Asheville, and the guy reading opposite of me is a good friend, and we just had fun with it, really. I think I did 2 different takes, maybe one with a toboggan on my head, or anyway. But I decided that this character, my portrayal of her was going to be sassy, and she was not going to be this victim that you normally see as a homeless woman. And then I got a call back, Chris. Wow. And I didn't even tell Atlanta Models and Talent, AMT, my agent in Atlanta, because it's filming in Atlanta, obviously. Yeah. I didn't even tell them that I had submitted for this, because they know I'm very independent and proactive, and I do a lot of indies in New York. And so they if they get a call, they just go with it. Well, but the day they called me about this callback, they were like, Susan, you have a callback on Cobra Kai as a homeless woman. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, because they thought they had screwed up or something. But anyway, so I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? I've got this callback. I've got to go meet these guys. And I had already researched and kind of stalked the big three, the creators, and I knew who these guys were. And I thought, man, this show is going to blow up. It's going to be so huge because it's a continuation of the Karate Kid. You've got 3 wonderful writers, and then you've got Ralph and William, the 2 stars, So I knew it was going to be huge, but I knew it was a long shot for me to book this part. So my husband was like, well, you got to go in complete character to meet these guys. And so I did. I mean, I was in my car in Atlanta outside of the casting director's studio eating a Hershey bar, which I never do because it's too fast. Trying to mess up my teeth, Of course, I licked it all off before I got in there, but whatever. So I knew that I was going to have to stay in character. And so I walk in and here are these cute guys and this cute casting director. And I wanted to be friendly and engaged and all of that. And I just tried my best to stay in character and just be tough. And I think I had like one of those little wrappers that you pick up a donut with. I think I wired it up and I threw it at the camera operator who was reading opposite of me. And so she was sassy. And I remember when I was leaving, Hayden looked at me and he said, well, we're going to have to mess up those teeth. And I was like, bring it. And I meant it. And they have. I mean, they paint each one of my teeth individually.
Oh, cool.
And then they go back, the makeup artist, then they go back and they paint a darker brown in between. So my teeth are straight up rotten to the core. And it just really is the icing on the cake after they've, put all of this dirt makeup all over me and do my hair. And then the wardrobe department has done a wonderful job with her costuming and the hair department.
Yeah, it does. It looks really, really good. The whole vision of it.
She's believable.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I've seen Lynn, and I've seen you in episode 1 anyway. But you did make me laugh as well, obviously, especially in that first episode because holding the sign, and then later on you just sat there with it.
He's like, hold it up.
Yeah,
I'm like, got it.
Yeah.
The writers, the big 3, have just come up with the best one-liners for this character, and people use them. The fans of the show, and I, we use them all the time, and we just have the best time because they're so funny.
It's great.
Math in a burrito. I mean, who thinks of that, right? But it's just a blast. It's an absolute blast.
I can imagine, and the fact that you like you just said, your character, the character you play, people are, the fans out there are actually using lines and those one-liners because they've been delivered. That must be such a feeling for you.
Yes, it's so wonderful, and the fans are so great. They're just so happy because they were huge. The majority of them were huge Karate Kid fans, and so they've been waiting all this time too. So I mean, they are so loyal to this group and to me and to Homeless Lynn, and it's just been a wonderful experience. We did a little thing, I have one of the fans from the UK, Darren Warren, he approached me about starting a Homeless Lynn Facebook page.
Okay.
And it was about the time COVID hit. And I said, you know what, that would be a great creative outlet for everybody and a distraction from the stress of what's going on in our world, right?
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, if you want to do it, do it. And I really didn't think it would do much. And then Matt Sharp came on board and he starts doing these memes, and then all these Helen and Shay and Philippe from Canada. I mean, they just started, and I wasn't asking any of these people to do anything. Just like jumping on board, and it's been wonderful. And what I was going to say is we did a little contest of what is your favorite Homeless Lynn line, and one of the winners was "I Ain't Gonna Hurt Ya," and that's been one. In the very first episode. I know that was in the second one in the first season with the girls, where I go up to the window of the car and I knock, said, "Open up and give me money." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's a homeless woman in there. She's gonna smear crap everywhere or whatever, And I was like, "I ain't gonna hurt ya." And then I do my nails on the window like that. So that is one of the favorites of the Homeless Lynn fans.
I can see why. But I mean, again, you've got a Facebook page after you as well. That's even so good to have, and it is a great idea, like you say, to stir people's imagination. I've actually got Emma, your friend Emma. Apparently, she did send me a question.
Oh yeah. Hi,
Dorothy on Twitter. She says, "Yeah,
Dorothy she's from Ireland, from Northern.
Oh, is she? Oh, cool.
She is, and my family. I'm a Gallagher, obviously. So I was in Donegal a couple of years ago, County Donegal, where we're from, in Killybegs, and so Dorothy or Emma and I have become good friends.
Oh, fantastic! Northern Ireland. That's that's the only way I can say for that.
Yeah,
so apologies, Emma.
No, I mean it's not as bad, really. Yeah.
You say Norn and Iron, I think, is the way to. That's how I used to have got a few friends when I was in their college from Northern Ireland, and we used a great time trying to teach us.
Yeah.
But anyway, she would like to.
She's been very supportive, and she just loves the show. She's a longtime Karate Kid, Cobra Kai fan, and thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, she did say Lynn is such a beloved character. Would you, as Susan, like to see a Lynn spin-off? As John mentioned, spin-offs. She'd love to see a Lynn spin-off show. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, of course, but that's really not what the page is about, and it's not what I don't have that on my vision board or anything like that. But I mean, I'd love to see the character developed, and I think the storyline can go in a lot of different ways that would be super interesting and keep the audience's attention. So I would love to see Lynn's story develop a little bit more, and I think that it would be, I think that it would be good, because we have had so many different theories and spin-off ideas and those kind of things from the fans, and they like this character, and they like I said, they love all the one-liners that she's got, and she's a little comic relief, because there's some heavy duty stuff going down in Johnny's life and in all of their lives. So Lynn is good comic relief for now. But sure, I'd love to see it develop into something more.
Fantastic. That was actually my second question: is how would you like to see Lynn develop? So I was going to follow. That's great. So you've got season 3. We've got season 3 coming up. So hopefully we've got more seasons as well, and where we can see that and we can see Lynn develop. So
Right. I mean, I know the big 3 are like, okay, the show is not about homeless Lynn. I'm like, maybe it should. No, people really, really like Danny and Johnny. So there's a lot going on with them, and the kids, the young stars of the show. They're I'm sure they're going to have a blast with their storylines, and Lynn's over here, but I mean, I have thought of a million. Of course, my ideal would be, that Lynn has this wicked, evil, rich twin sister. So I could play 2, completely different characters, because as an actor, that's what you want to do. You want to challenge yourself, and you want meaty roles that you can really sink your teeth into and have so much fun with. So, my ultimate idea would be playing 2 different roles.
Excellent. That sounds pretty good. Okay, so perfect. Moving on, when talking about meaty roles as well, obviously that we can have so much fun with. You've got the other show which you're in as well, which is which is doing really, really well. It's just Quiering.
Yeah.
And that's obviously that's a comedy where you've just, as the lead character's mother, just completely overthrown her life. She was about to start this brand new life and live it all as, in her lesbian. She'd come out as a lesbian. She was going to live that and live it to the best. And then you go, I'm not seeing the show, but obviously from what I can see, you've come in and just ruined that by coming out. You stole.
Val is my character in Quiering, and it's on YouTube. But before I forget, Cobra Kai is going to Netflix, so everybody needs to know.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is going to Netflix. So we are just beyond thrilled about that.
That's really good.
And actually, I think the first 3 movies of the Karate Kid are already available on Netflix, and so we're just waiting to see when they drop the Cobra Kai. But it's coming next, so yay Netflix. But Quiering is still on YouTube, and it is free. It's Quiering web series, and we did 2 seasons. And they're short little webisodes, so it's easy to watch, you guys. And even if you're straight, I mean, my husband, who is much more conservative than me, he thinks it's really well done, and it's a great show. And you kind of become invested in these characters because the writing is great and the production quality is really good too. So I'm very proud of it. But yeah, Val is a retired dentist, recently divorced after being married to Frank for 20-something years. They raised a daughter and a son, and Harper is living in New York City, and she's come out as a lesbian for years, and Val was very, very supportive of her. Yeah. But now Val is coming out as a bisexual, not a lesbian. She's a bisexual. Yeah, and Harper's just not having it. She thinks that Val is, infringing on her turf, and that I am just this old woman whose life is almost over, and I'm just very confused. So it's the writing. Letitia, the creator, is so talented because she has been able to take a very controversial and complicated, sensitive subject, and she does it with just such lightness, just a lightness to it. It's not heavy and heavy drama and all that kind of stuff, and with humor. And we have a lot of humor in this show. So one minute you may be laughing, and then the next minute you may shed a tear. So it's real, and it's authentic, and it's raw. And we shoot in Brooklyn, and we were supposed to start shooting Quiering the movie this past April.
But then COVID.
Yeah. So everything is up in the air. But what was really exciting for us was we were selected as an official selection to screen at South by Southwest Film Festival last year. Yeah. So, that was a big deal for us. And with a little tiny web series with a small budget and no advertising at all, and still haven't done any advertising. But we built a fan base, and it continues to grow, and we're gonna wait and see. The fans are wanting to know what happens with Val from the finale of season 2. So big changes take place with her because she's now in season 2. She's figuring out that because she thought that coming out was going to be the hard part. Yeah. Then she discovers that living out is, a one day at a time thing. So it's about the struggles of, growing older and, looking at your sexuality and also your relationships with your children, your grown children, and how that changes, and your friends, the way they're treating her now since she's come out. Yeah,
I did see a clip of that actually, where you were struggling with that because your friends weren't talking to you or anything, and there's only a little glimpse that I saw, and I thought that's actually really powerful in that few minutes, the minute or two.
Yeah, I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Excellent. It does look like a great show, and I will watch it now as well, because obviously
it's free.
Well, yes, free. What else can you ask for? And it's in short. The short snippets are great. I think that's a great way. There's a lot of web series are doing that now, and they're getting short, but they're getting. I mean, I've seen the numbers on Quiering are really high as well. So you're getting some really good worldwide coverage on that as well, which is fantastic.
We have, and we're just so grateful for that. And you can leave a nice comment if you want.
Oh, I will. I'll make sure I do.
I appreciate nice comments. And 99.9% of them are always favorable and very positive. And we've had a good time with it, and look forward to Quiering the movie.
Brilliant. That sounds great. On the horizon. Talking about movies as well, I noticed you've got one coming out, Walk Away, Joe.
Oh, it has dropped. It's out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's out on all the platforms, and that's stars
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, isn't it?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan from The Walking Dead, and David Strathairn, who I don't know if
Oh yeah, I do know him. Yeah.
go on IMDb, Google this guy because
Oh, he's a immense actor, isn't he?
is, he's had an Oscar nom, and he's just been in so many wonderful, wonderful films. And I play his ex-wife, so I got to do a scene opposite him, a couple of scenes, and
Nice.
it was just such an honor. And he's just such a nice guy, and yeah. So, and it has to do with playing pool and a father-son relationships once again. And Walk Away Joe. It's on the platform.
Cool. I shall look out for that one as well.
Yeah. That shot. We shot that in Louisiana, outside of New Orleans.
Oh, it's on my hit list of places to go is New Orleans.
Oh man, I rented an apartment there a few years ago. My daughter was used to do a lot of acting, and she was in a Raven Simone Lifetime movie there. And so, and then I had booked Treme. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It was on HBO. It was a great show. And with Kyle Chandler and no, not Kyle Chandler. That's Bloodline. Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah, that's who I wanted to say. He's in it.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused again. That's Treme. No, he was in Treme and Bloodline. That's Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, love him as well. He's a brilliant actor as well.
He's so brilliant and such a nice, likable person. I was on him with him on the HBO show The Outsiders. Stephen, what's the horror? The guy who does all the scary films.
Soderbergh, not Soderbergh, is it? No, Steve King. No, I'm trying to think of the one who does it.
Oh my gosh, Steve. He writes all of the scary books.
Stephen
King.
Yeah, Stephen King. Yeah.
Thank you, Brain. Good Lord, kicking in finally. Stephen King, The Outsider. So yeah, Ben stars in that, and I played Bill Camp's wife. If you know who Bill Camp is, he's been around for a while, so that was fun. But anyway, don't know where that train of thought was going, but I know I know, living in New Orleans because and oh God, my daughter and I had the best time, and my husband fortunately loves New Orleans and loves good food and jazz and all of that. So yeah, we stayed there and rented a place for about a year, and it was great.
Fantastic. It's definitely one my wife and I want to go down as well, see it all. So yeah, we will, but one day we will.
Gotta do it. It's like no other place really. I mean, Memphis is kind of a cool jazz kind of town, but New Orleans is very unique.
Yeah.
Unique spot.
So I've heard.
It's a richness, between the food, the Cajun food, and the culture and the music and the people.
Yeah, you just get drawn right in. Excellent. Before I finish and sort of wrap this up, Susan, I've got a question. This is a completely off the wall one, by the way. It's got nothing to do with what you've done in your career. I had a guy came on my show once, and he was basically he was in Star Wars, but he was also a Muppeteer for Jim Henson, and he still is. For about 30 odd years he's done it. And amazing. So someone sent the question in, and I thought, that's a really good personality question. So I've tried to ask everyone since, if you could have a Muppet created after you yourself and your own character, who would it be, or what would it be? Or it could be a mix of Muppets that are already there, or it could be just one.
I mean, can it be like Miss Piggy and Lynn combined?
Yeah.
Miss Piggy's kind of fancy and glam, and then Homeless Lynn, and he's sort of wild and fearless and out of control. So I think that would be a great mix.
Fair enough. It's pretty good. I remember I've had one, I think it was Lindy Booth came on, and she'd actually had a Muppet created for her. Someone had made a Muppet crate. You used to have, I think, from Target or somewhere, or one of those stores. It was brilliant.
Well, I have a bobblehead, a Homeless Lynn bobblehead.
Oh, seriously? Oh, that's ace.
Yes, it's a riot. I was trying to like practice. I was going to do this little thing for the group. This bobblehead and trying to do my head, and it was just hilarious. But yeah, no, I don't have a Muppet, but I got my Cobra Kai mask.
Yeah, that is ace.
Right? I've had fans send me gifts, and the bobblehead was a gift from Mary Rachel Quinn. Thank you, Mary Rachel. And then I've gotten some other gifts. Chris and Connie sent me a Homeless Land shirt, and then Joe sent me a couple of masks. So it's been great fun. But I don't have a Muppet yet.
There you go, everyone. Anyone who's watching, listen.
Somebody
a homeless Lynn Muppet.
That would be fun to make, though, with the hair.
Oh, it would be, yeah. Brilliant, excellent. And is there anything you would like to say to the people who are watching or listening, or who will be watching and listening before you?
Well, I want to thank you, Chris, for having me, and Carrie Nasina, who set this whole thing up, and just everyone who has been supportive of me in Cobra Kai or Quiering or any of the other projects that I've done. You can follow me on Instagram at I am Susan Gallagher, and IMDb obviously is just Susan Gallagher. And then I do have a website. I try to keep it up to snuff, but I'm not the best at it, and that's susangallagher.com. And then on Facebook, we've got Homeless Lynn spin-off, Homeless Lynn spin-off ideas and theories on Facebook. And we welcome you. We'd love to have you. We are no drama, and we just like to have fun and support one another and laugh a lot. So thank you so much.